Hello and welcome back to Archaeoscoop. This, my dear friends and listeners, is the show.
Where we look at news from history, archaeology, and the cultural sphere.
Yes, it's a siren song leading us to enlightenment and our doom. Uh,
Cue John Hamm in the dark.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, just vibing into nothingness. Absolutely, yes. Into the
That's where
sweet
we're
and
going in 2026,
yeah.
vibing into nothingness. I do have happy stories though this week, I promise. And
I
actually,
have
what?
happy stories.
Okay,
And
so
and I
who?
can I just say I did read the comments on the last episode, and I agree. My definition of cute or good news needs tweaking. To be fair, looking at my YouTube algorithm, my Netflix algorithm, things I find relaxing are quite depressing and horrifying to most people. The other day, a
A lot of
friend
people,
came
a lot of
over.
people do watch horror to relax. I don't,
Yeah,
but a lot of people do. I have friends who do, who just consider, and they because they can let go and know that that's fantasy,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
they don't have a visceral reaction to
yeah.
it. But
And the thing is, ultimately, the things I find scary are actually happening out in the real world. You know, your zombie fiction is an apocalypse that you can,
zombies are cute.
yeah,
They can
but
be.
yeah, they can be cute, but also as well, if the worst thing you got to deal with is people down the road being assholes, you know, that's a containable problem. like, that's not the
I
world we live in.
respectfully disagree, Mark, because I have been on the internet.
Oh well, yeah, this is true.
This week's first story
Yep.
about happy things is actually quite topical
Okay.
because everybody knows I love snacks.
Hmm.
And archaeologists find 1,900-year-old snacks
Snacks.
in sewers beneath the Colosseum. Spectators at Rome's ancient amphitheater enjoyed olives, figs, nuts, and more. See, I was really hoping for the cheesy bits, but no.
But go figure.
Hate you, Mark. In the sewers and passageways beneath the Colosseum, archaeologists have found new evidence of what attending events at ancient amphitheater may have been like,
Uh-huh.
and even what snacks spectators may have preferred. Really, I think rather than may have preferred, this is probably just what they sold. That's what was there. Because honestly, I have to say, we would not eat peanuts and Cracker Jacks
No.
if there were other things available at the ball game.
Hmm.
Now there are, but so I think that this is just rather what they sold, not necessarily what they may have preferred. During the year-long study, scientists unearthed traces of olives, nuts, meats, ooh, tasty,
Mm.
cherries, grapes, figs, don't say it, Mark, blackberries, and peaches from 1,900 years ago. Attendees at the famous amphitheater likely munched on these snacks while watching events like plays and gladiator fights. The discoveries, quote unquote, deepen our understanding of the experience and habits of those who came to this place during the long days dedicated to the performances, says Alfonso Russo, director of the Colosseum Archaeological Park.
That's a cool name.
They also found other things. They found bones from lions, bears, dogs, other animals. But really, the important thing here is
With
the
the snacks.
snacks.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And have you seen Gladiator 2 yet?
Don't, why would you do that to
No,
me?
I know, I
Why would
know.
I do that?
I don't know.
But
No, yeah.
look, I look at the trailer and I make a decision. I
Yeah.
go, this is obviously Gladiator's not historically inaccurate by
Hmm.
any stretch of
Hmm.
the imagination, but I look at it and I go, nope, and
Yeah.
that's that,
Yeah.
and I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would you do that to yourself, Mark?
Well, I haven't. That's the thing. I haven't watched it. And
I don't judge anybody who has watched it
no, no,
or
no, no.
anybody who's liked it. If you like it, that's wonderful,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's not for
yeah.
me.
So the first one, I like it for an atmosphere that it invokes. It was
Yes,
a wonderful return
it's a
to
great
that
film.
type of film. Yeah.
Do not look for any historical value in it
No, no.
whatsoever.
And actually, I know a lot of venerable classicists, in fact, some of whom have retired now, who really enjoyed that movie.
Great.
And I know one classicist who agreed to consult on Alexander so long as he could be in a charge. I don't think he was even paid. He was just like, I want to be on a horseback charge or a camel charge. Was it a camel charge? That was a less great movie, certainly, Alexander. Yeah.
You know what, though? I would have taken that. If they said, hey, do you want to be a historical consultant for this movie? And I go, can I be in costume and makeup and can
Yeah,
I run across a field with an axe in my hand? If the answer is yes,
yeah,
I'm doing it. I don't
yeah,
care.
exactly. Just um, and but yeah, no, but Gladiator 2, the only thing that really upsets me about it from a historian's perspective, from the trailer. Again, I don't know much about the main part of the story. Is the use of Denzel Washington as a subversion of slave and power tropes, and him bringing with that the weight of the pain of the African American experience, and that's an understandable thing for him to bring with him and to enjoy reveling the fact that he's playing a senior figure in ancient Rome. But the thing is, that's not controversial, and wouldn't necessarily have been all that controversial within the Roman world. What
No,
mattered
I mean his
was your
character
citizenship.
was from North. I say character. His
Hmm.
historical was from North Africa, so it
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily be that
No.
unlikely.
No. Exactly. And the way it was being marketed along those lines was playing into I think possibly cynically maybe into a modern idea of slavery, power, and power struggles. So,
Oh,
but
I just love the deep Manhattan accent.
yeah,
In
which is absolutely fine. I mean, like, what was
I just
also really funny was it, so obviously you've got, sorry, I'm talking over you, but obviously you've got Russell Crowe in the first one, sort of Aussie weirdness going on there, but his lieutenant is totally American,
Load the catapults. Infantry form up for advance. Archers ready.
like totally just
yeah,
sort of like,
yeah.
but no one complained about that. No one pointed that out.
No,
No,
I love it.
yeah, but again, I think it's because of who Denzel is and because of the roles that he chooses and also the power that he has in his performances and why he performs in certain ways. His interviews cover this in great detail throughout his career. I just think that it was a miscalculation by the film to use him like that because it kind of actually, funnily enough, makes it feel as though our recent world prejudices were Roman prejudices, and they weren't.
Oh, that was your only problem? I saw the trailer
No,
and just
it's
went,
a problem. A problem.
why is Gita alive? I'm out of
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Never mind.
yeah. Okay, well, moving on. From something a little bit fluid to something a bit more solid. In I didn't. Why did I make that sound seedy? Ugh. Is Roman concrete? The story from Reuters, and actually there's a paper accompanying this, which I'll link below as well, is a story that's always people are always nibbling around the edges of this one. Roman concrete. How did they make it? How did it last so long? Waterproof, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
And
MIT covered that not long ago.
well, yeah, they certainly covered what they proposed to be a method, and this is why it feels like a perennial story. But December the 9th, Reuters reports that scientists when they're discovering something useful, archaeologists when they're baffled, apparently, scientists excavating the ruins of Pompeii ruins of Pompeii have discovered a construction site left frozen in time by the eruption of Italy's Mount Vesuvius in AD 79, clarifying the ingredients and methods behind the durable, self-healing concrete that ancient Romans used to revolutionize architecture. Um, the the site is often quoted as being the type site for the perfect archaeological scenario.
Enigmatic.
Well,
Enigmatic.
enigmatic, but also there's literally this idea of the Pompeii premise. The question as to whether or not what's there is literally frozen in time because of the volcano. I don't think it is. I think there's other complex processes happening during and after the eruption that make it not a perfect freeze frame. But as an archaeologist actually from MIT, professor, as you say, said, studying the site felt as if I had travelled back in time and was standing beside the workers as they mixed and placed their concrete, said Admir Masick, a Massachusetts Institute of Technology professor of civil and environmental engineering and leader of the study, published on Tuesday in Nature Communications. Now, the precise method that Romans used to make their concrete has, as the article says here, been a matter of debate, with recent archaeological discoveries appearing to contradict accounts given by first century treatises by the Roman architect and engineer Vitruvius. The Pompeii discovery has showed that Romans used a technique called hot mixing.
I too have been made by a technique called hot mixing.
I just thought I'd just lay that up for you. Hot mixing, in which a material called quicklime, a dry limestone, was previously heated and is combined directly with water and a blend of volcanic rock and ash, producing a chemical reaction that naturally heats the mixture. And that differs from the method described by Vitruvius, who wrote about it a century earlier. Pompeii preserves buildings and materials and even work in progress in the precise state they were when the eruption occurred. Again, I'm not sure that's true, but unlike finished structures that have undergone centuries of repair and weathering, this site captures construction processes as they happened. Masick, it was quoted as saying. So it's pretty darn cool. And they've gone on to say here, saying that the method might have been outdated by the time. The method Vitruvius, wrote down might have been outdated by the time the Pompeii project was being built. So maybe
That's
it's
perfectly understandable.
Yeah. So, and he said here, imagine what 100 years of difference could mean for building technology. A good analogy would be early telephones. In the 1920s and 30s, rotary dialing, long-distance copper lines. In the 2020s, smartphones using packet-switched digital signals and wireless networks. So, yeah, it doesn't contradict. It adds to that knowledge about building. Just to explain to folks at home who may not know, though, the reason why I'm so about Pompeii is, for years there was a trend. I think in Victorian times there was a trend to have a Roman red on the wall. There was like a colour, like a Pompeian red colour that was very fashionable in gentlemen's studies.
But was it really though, Mark?
It wasn't red, exactly. It was yellow. And the heat of the volcano actually had chemically altered the structure of the pigments, and therefore they appeared red. And so that's just one little way in which actually what we're seeing is a town that has been not only buried by a volcano but also changed by that volcano. It's not a living.
It's like my favorite
environment.
statue. Well, I should say not in statue, but my favorite still of the guy that the internet all loves. The man on the floor cranking his hot when he's obviously really not doing
hot
that.
Mixing.
Mark will now put a picture of this man so you can see exactly what his hot mixing was about.
But obviously,
no,
respectfully, yes, yeah.
But he probably was not doing that.
No,
Exactly. And so
exactly.
that, just like Mark says, like we think it's a snapshot of exactly what happened at the moment of death. But it probably wasn't.
No. And the thing is, as well, is that you've got to remember, not only are we talking about a destructive encapsulation of a human settlement, but also as well, there's what we call in archaeology all the taphonomy, all the processes that occur in the soil, in the geology over time, chemical processes, physical processes, shifting earth, works that occurred on the land, farming, etc., or whatever else might occur prior to it being a protected archaeological site that alter what's there. So it's an ongoing question. Certainly for a long time, some people were like, it's the perfect archaeological site. It's like it's been ziplocked, and it's like, no, it's not. It's not like it's been ziplocked, but it is a fantastic place, and this is a wonderful little bit of evidence for that Roman concrete. Certainly.
The dicks have been ziplocked.
Yeah,
that's for sure. They're still there.
They have, yeah, all of that wonderful graffiti, yeah, absolutely, all that hot mixing. So,
speaking of hot mixing,
yeah.
I had a different story, and then this one popped up yesterday. I actually had the story about the discovery of cats being domesticating themselves much earlier than we possibly thought.
Mm-hmm.
But then this one, I sent it to Mark. This one popped up via, thank you to Dr. Francis Young, who made a joke about this, where he said that 10 to 1, they're going to start talking about how this is evidence of Prometheus.
Mm-hmm.
And I just laughed. And it says the earliest known human-made fire that we know of has been uncovered.
Yes.
And everybody is raging about this because, of course, the earliest prehistoric site that we have so far discovered is in Suffolk.
No.
And Mark's like, no. So it says, so here is the report of the discovery, and then Mark's going to rage about it. So a stunning discovery
Yep, go on.
at an archaeological dig in the UK is quote unquote rewriting the timeline of when humans first made fire. This is as it's reported from BBC. And I could see Mark already, the burn of fire in his eyeballs. Researchers have discovered the earliest known instance of human-made fire, which took place in the east of England 400,000 years ago. The new discovery in the village of Barnham pushes the origin of human-made fire back by more than 3,500 years. 3,000. Wait. Loading. Not 3,000. 350,000
Yes.
years. But the thing is that we have evidence of other fires far earlier than previously thought. The ability to create fire was the moment that changed everything for humans. Was it though? Was it though? It provided warmth at will and enabled our ancestors to cook and eat meat, which made our brains grow. Debated because there are some people who would argue that has to do with the consumption of fish.
Yeah,
It meant we know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we meant that we no longer were a group of animals struggling to survive. Animals always struggle to survive. It gave us a time to think and invent
What?
and become the advanced species that we are today. The team say they found baked earth together with the earliest Stone Age lighter, consisting of flint that was bashed against a rock called pyrite, also known as fool's gold, to create the spark. BBC News has been given the world exclusive access to the prehistoric site. And then there's a lovely picture at the site of Barnham.
Yeah.
And it says, under the treetops of Barnham Forest. Is there a forest in Barnham, Mark?
I don't know, actually. I've never been.
Lies an archaeological treasure buried a few meters beneath the earth that dates back to the furthest depths of pre-human history. Around the edges of a clearing, tangled green branches frame the scene like a... Sorry, I have to read this in David Attenborough's accent. Yeah. Frame the scene like a curtain.
Yeah.
As if the forest itself was slowly revealing the long-buried chamber of its past. Professor Nick Ashton of the British Museum leads me through the trees as we both step into this astonishing story. And so that goes on to talk about where they found this fire. It's quite deep. It's quite deep. The Paleolithic site.
Back to hot mixing.
This is literally what it is. It's baked earth. Of East Farm in Barnham lies within a disused clay pit tucked away in a wooded area of Suffolk. That's nice because nothing else happens there. Earlier excavations revealed that early humans visited the site, leaving behind numerous stone artifacts. Professor Ashton shows one of them, and he says you can see where the small bits of flint have been popped off due to the heat. His time team, not the actual time team, has been excavating deposits from a warm period at the end of Britain's most severe last ice age, buried in a patch of clay, which sits in a channel cut into the chalk bedrock by a glacier hundreds of thousands of years ago. And it goes on from there. So, Mark, what would you like to say about this?
Well, first of all, there's a wonderful picture in the article, which I was going to be sharing. But
it is very nice. Yeah.
Thankfully, I had a backup article because I thought you might pick this one. There's a wonderful picture here of someone with a radish, I think, on a stick.
That's Mark's takeaway from this. Yeah.
No, it's just like, you know.
The fire's rubbish, but look at this young man with his
look at the radish. Oh, yes, nice radish. Lovely radish. No, I obviously this is not the oldest fire that people have ever made. Obviously not in Suffolk. But interestingly, the southeast of England has been a great place to find evidence of early Northern European exploration by ourselves and also our hominin ancestors, and this is an excellent example of that. And you know, and it is evocative and lovely. It's just the way that it's reported, as you say here, with that whole sort of, you know, it's as though the forest is unfolding before me and revealing a hidden history of humanity.
And then it's just a patch of dirt.
Yeah, exactly. And they're working hard, obviously, to sell it as a journalist. But
I
also,
appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very evocative, but it's got just a little bit of the old hoax, hasn't it, about it? Piltdown Man who infamously was found found in the ground and immediately declared to be an origin of humanity, of course, springing forth from England, and was later found to be part orangutan remains, part human, and the hoaxer, whoever they were, even went so far as to put a broken cricket bat into the ground,
Smashing. Love
just to
it.
try and underscore that it was
Love
a
it.
hoax. Some people have even suggested it might have been Arthur Conan Doyle himself who perpetrated the
Oh,
hoax.
I would put it up to him. He
Yeah.
was very bitter about people loving Sherlock Holmes when he wanted to write something else. I surely think he would
Yeah.
do it for sure.
But in that sense, this isn't there. This isn't a hoax. But it's interesting how, if this was discovered back then, it would be like, of course, fire was first made here in England.
That's the
Yeah.
comment that people have been making on it, and that's my problem with the way that the BBC has framed it.
Yeah.
This is the oldest man-made fire ever. No, the oldest man-made fire in the UK maybe,
Yeah.
but not. And of course, so because of course England is the center of the world. The BBC says the oldest man-made fire ever is now here in jolly old England. You
Yeah.
just go no,
Yeah.
no.
No,
Let's go to Africa, my friend.
exactly. And the thing is as well is that there's evidence of protein consumption amongst hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years old human ancestors in Africa, in South Africa, and fire. Surely together, this wasn't very far away from that. So it's yeah, it's not really, it's definitely not the oldest, but it's a cool story.
So, since I stole that story from you, Mark, and I did not talk about the dispersal of cats, what's your second story?
Well, my second story, and I always regret when we end up having an accidental sort of European focus in our shows, because I do like to have a global focus as much as possible.
I love the way you frame that.
But it's like
I'm terribly sorry, but we've had an accidental European.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've had a European constitutional moment. But this one is interesting, not only because of where it is, but also what it is. And I think you might have some opinions on it. It's a news story in The Guardian, the headline of which is "Linguists Start Compiling First Ever Complete Dictionary of Ancient Celtic."
I had thought about that one, and then I thought,
Yeah. So more than 1,000 words used as far back as 325 BC. Will there be more than 1,000 words? We don't know.
Maybe.
To be collected for insight into past linguistic landscape. It's not likely to be a hefty volume, they say, because the vast majority of the material has been lost to the mists of time. But the remnants of a language spoken in parts of the UK and Ireland 2,000 years ago are being collected for what is being billed as the first complete dictionary of ancient Celtic. The dictionary will not be huge because relatively few words survive. You're repeating yourself, Guardian. Sources for the dictionary will range from Julius Caesar's account of his conquest of parts of Northern Europe.
That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. To
That's the problem.
ancient memorial stones. It will include words from between 325 BC up to around 500 AD. Dr. Simon...
We have plenty of words from Proto-Celtic. I mean, that we've reconstructed. The issue with what Mark is saying is Julius Caesar lied a lot about many things, even about himself. So
lied, exaggerated. There were various ways in which he was inaccurate. He wasn't just lying. You know what? I'm going to say that they walk on their hands, fuckers. Yeah. Oh, I heard that they don't like cheese. Let's say they love it. They love it. They love cheese. So he wasn't just lying, but he was. Yeah, he was motivated in his writing.
Well, we don't actually. The biggest problem with his biography is that he didn't finish it.
No.
Other people did because he died.
Yeah.
And part of the issue, a lot of the things that were written about the Celts in that were written by other people, not even him, and it's written in a different style. So we really just have no idea.
Yeah.
What a part in that about the Celts is true.
Also, apparently he was from Bradford or something. Oh. Yeah, absolutely. And as Dr. Simon Rodway, senior lecturer at the Department of Welsh and Celtic Studies in Aberystwyth, has said, it's exciting to be involved in compiling the first dictionary of this kind, and therefore it is useful in that sense. It's going to be a useful endeavour, and
Yes.
presumably the entries into the dictionary will be up for once they're together will be up for examination and discussion and debate. I'm sure this won't be the final document. He said these disparate sources have never before been brought together in a way that offers such an insight into the nature of Celtic languages spoken in these islands at the dawn of the historical period. The picture of the linguistic landscape of Britain and Ireland will be of interest not only to to linguists, but to historians and archaeologists and archaeogeneticists as well. So I'm very distracted by the picture of his. Have you seen his face?
Mark's now gonna have to put it on screen. No, I have not seen.
He's sort of going.
Whose face?
He's sort of going like that.
I mean, listen, linguistics is sexy. So yeah, I'm very sure he's very eager to study all those Proto-Celtic words.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not making fun of him. He's pulling a face. It's very funny.
Talk to me in Proto-Celtic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tell me I've been a bad conjunctive. Elements of modern languages. There's so much swearing, so much hot mixing going on in this episode. This is one for the records, kids. Elements of modern languages such as Welsh, Irish, Scottish Gaelic, Breton, and Cornish have some roots in their ancient Celtic counterparts. The team that compiling the dictionary say, while modern Celtic languages are often different from each other, similarities can be seen between words. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's one of the big famous ones is the PQ Celtic split, which can be demonstrated using
or insular and continental. So as Mark said, like obviously Irish Manx, Gaelic, and they are different, very different from Welsh, Cornish, and Breton. So they're not the same languages. They're very different. Obviously, the spelling's different. Obviously, they have different alphabets.
But they have the same root. And it can be demonstrated, for example, with the Welsh word pen. Pen means head. And in Irish, the equivalent is k. It's a ken word instead of pen. So Q with a kicking K, kind of Q. We've got quite a bit of material from Roman Britain, including letters from soldiers stationed here, Rodway says. It's almost all in Latin, but you get the odd Celtic word in there. Now, this is where I am curious about this, insomuch as, what's your opinion on the trustworthiness, not necessarily of figures like Caesar, who had an obvious political and personal motivation to colour the things, but someone hearing a word and then passing it on to a family member or in a report or something.
It's very difficult.
Yeah,
very difficult. I'll give you an example. So everybody knows the word Samhain. Everybody knows that this is the ancient holiday on which we do not know what happened originally.
Samhain.
Which people will say like that, but people think that it's linked to the continental Celtic Simonius, which might have been the summer month. But it's really, the problem with that is it doesn't really accord with obviously the summer. And so a lot of people thought for a while that this hinted at the summer's end, and now it's actually more likely, due to other evidence and other similar words, that Samhain or Simonius had to do with meetings because of the root word, and that's actually more possible. I mean, if the early medieval stories of kings meeting at that time are anything to go by, which, remember, that's not historical evidence, then that is actually more possible. That Samhain was a sort of a year-end meeting time. We do not know that for sure, but it makes more sense. And so I think when you have these words and you look at that, you have to look at like primary sources. When you have secondary and tertiary sources, it becomes very checkered and very difficult. And yeah, sure, you could do like PIE, where you can write out the root words and then possibly link them together through other languages. And I think the best way to do that is to have other close languages that are similar in order to try to piece things together. So another thing is that obviously, yes, this is ancient Celtic. This is going Proto-Celtic, going all the way back. but these languages were so different from each other, and there were so many different Celtic tribes that it's very difficult to know
Mm,
uh, who used this word, which tribe used this word. Did they use it
mm,
for the same meaning? Look at us today and the differences that we have in just very simple words like the word lorry.
Truck or lorry? Guess. Truck in America. Lorry in UK.
mm.
Or you say that to somebody who speaks English on one
Biscuit.
side of the world. What's that?
Biscuit.
Yeah, or biscuit.
Mm.
You know, that you say that to somebody on one side of the world, and they go, "I know what that is," and then
Mhm.
the other person on the other side of the world goes, "No, I know what that is."
Yeah. And then
Obviously,
a small
we're
argument unfolds.
it
Yes.
sues, and then
Yes.
we have to have a historical discussion about how the word biscuit got borrowed into Southern American English.
Hmm.
But I think it's a wonderful project. I think it's certainly a worthy endeavor, but it is going to be difficult and it will take time.
Mm.
And I think that it will take a lot of people looking into a lot of sources
Mm.
in order to piece this together.
Mm.
And Julius Caesar is certainly not one of them. If you want to say that if he might have some words that maybe we didn't know previously,
Mm.
but the problem as well with those sources, take all the fuss about Ostara,
Mm.
and that literally the only person ever to mention her was Bede,
Mm.
and he mentioned her hundreds of years after, and all he said was that the Anglo-Saxons named their month for Ostara.
Was Yostra a real pagan goddess? First of all, let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way. Ostara and Easter have nothing to do with each other. Ostara is a neo-pagan holiday that was invented by Aidan Kelly in 1974. To fill out the neo-pagan wheel of the year, he decided to invent a new holiday that would have to do with the spring equinox, but Germans, ancient Germans, never celebrated it. And so he took the name of an ancient pagan goddess mentioned by Bede and named the holiday for it. Easter is only called Easter in Germanic languages, and according to Bede, it was named for Yostra. But was she really a goddess? To this day, there is no archaeological evidence of her worship, and the only reason anyone thinks that this name, Yostra, belongs to a goddess is because of Bede's reckoning of time. All Bede says is that Yostramonath is now called the Paschal month, and that it was somehow named after a German goddess. And that's all we know. Etymologically speaking, we can infer that if she was a real goddess, she might have had something to do with the dawn, East, Yostra. So then why does anybody think that she was a real goddess worshipped around Easter? That, my friends, is the fault of Jacob Grimm. Jacob Grimm made up a lot of crap. In 1835, he claimed that Easter rituals must have had some kind of pagan origin, but he had no evidence for this. I do think there probably was a goddess or some kind of entity that was named after the dawn that Bede was referencing. I don't think Bede would have any reason to lie about this. Just remember, whoever Yostra was or wasn't, she had nothing to do with eggs, nothing to do with bunnies, and nothing to do with Jesus.
And we got nothing else to go by, and people have been driven mad by this. What does this mean? Is it the dawn month? Is it the spring month? Was she a goddess? Was she not? It's so even if you have one source
Mm.
that is, let's say, a tertiary source, it's going to drive you berserk just trying to figure this out. It is going to be very difficult. So I wish them a lot of luck, and
Mm.
they know what they're doing. They know, but to try to piece something from what Julius Caesar said, or a tertiary source that is so far away from its source, it's going to be brutal, man.
And also
It's gonna be brutal.
fundamentally, what someone is saying who you have no idea the extent to which they're familiar with the language, with the sounds,
Yeah.
and with the words that they're hearing, and also the extent to which they actually care, you know, about the accuracy of
Yeah.
what they're writing down. And I say that not just cynically, but also in the context of classical world historiography. Often was about the better the story, the more likely you are to write it down, as opposed to
Thanks,
the more accurate.
Victorians.
Exactly. But also Herodotus, you know. I mean, so
Yeah.
so it's an interesting one, and I mean, there are two thoughts that come to mind. The first one was that issue of motivation and and the Roman ear, and you know, I've talked about this in other places when it comes to Boudica, and what's interesting there is my second point, and that is to say,
Was she really called Boudica Boomerang? Was
what
that really her name?
well, she certainly wasn't called Boudicea.
Oh no, that's no, that's
No,
nonsense.
but it's interesting that in so much as I think you can take from Roman sources something as simple as that. Yeah, if they're writing down Boudica with a k sound, They are
Oh, I
using.
see. I
They're
thought you meant
using.
like the historiography of her name, because we don't actually know if that was her name or if that was a
Oh,
title.
yeah. No, of course not. Of course not. But in terms of pronunciation, if they're writing down sound using the letter C instead of S, for example, that's a choice that meant to their ears it sounded like Boudica, not Boadicea. And so there's some value in that from Roman script, in so much as the accuracy of this script, in so much as from copy to copy, is actually quite high. It's not like there's a lot of variation, for the most part, in an awful lot. Even Tacitus doesn't have many people saying all of this has been made up in the post medieval world, post early medieval world. So that's one of the values, I guess. But that's where the work is, as you say. The work is going to be in the same way that we might interrogate an anthropologist and say, what are your biases? Do you speak the language? Have you got a sense of the context in which this was being said and used?
It's so funny that you mentioned Boudica, though, because I mean the only two real sources that we have about her are the Tacitus and the Cassius Dio,
Yeah.
and they are not great.
No, no,
They are not great.
no, they're not. They're no. But at the very least, they are. It, to put it another way, people take Tacitus as. I mean, to be fair, Tacitus isn't a great example because there aren't a lot of copies of Tacitus, but Tacitus isn't taken as being. People don't question what's written there, in so much as it seems to be. It seems that the paper trail, as it were, is relatively solid, even if there aren't many contributing strands to it.
He had his biases, though.
He did. He absolutely had his
And
biases.
he was very well connected.
But I'm not talking about biases. I'm talking about literally the sounds of the words that he wrote down.
Yes.
You know, we know
so
what the
talking
Latin
about
alphabet
phonetics.
is. Yeah, exactly. We know how they sounded when they spoke Latin, broadly speaking. And so therefore we know roughly what they're trying to sound like when they write a word in a certain way. What that means, that's the next question. Are they hearing the word accurately? Are they? So I've always been curious about, this is where this section. This is why This is why we're talking about this, because I thought this sort of conversation would happen, and so I've always been curious about words like Toggy-dubness and Coggy-dubness. These famous client kings of the Roman world in Britannia. Is that actually what their names were? Because they both sound awfully similar. Did people of a certain rank have just an ubness an ubness about them?
Well, we talk about this a lot. I spoke about this with when we talked about Boudica with Duncan McKay, because he is the definitive archaeologist for Boudica.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing when I talked to Professor Ronald Hutton, which is when we talked about Celts in general, and what did they call themselves, what did they call each other. And so as far as we could tell, anything that was written down, it's what that writer is calling that person.
Yeah.
We do not, unless that person or a group of people has writing themselves, we do not know what they called themselves.
No.
Or anything like that. So we have a lot of the Celtic tribes, for example. We have the Roman ideas of what the Romans called them. We don't really know what they would have called themselves in most
the
cases.
tribes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know. And so you always have to take pun. Oh, this is damn. You know what, Mark? You can have this pun. We always have to take it with a grain of salt when it comes to the Romans.
They also talk about other sources. I'd hate for someone to watch this from the team and say, hang on, we're just looking at bloody Romans. And they also say that they're looking at inscriptions on stones such as Cornwall and Ireland that have used the Ogham alphabet, which has its own issues and its own problems. Yep. A system of straight line.
But is Ogham or Ogham or Ogham an ancient alphabet, Mark?
It's not. But it it's not. But this is why this story is on the one hand a wonderful heroic endeavor, but also people who know are going to be just all the way through. So,
Eyebrows are raised.
Yeah. But what this goes to the heart of, and actually it's funny enough, at the end of this article they say this without saying it. Actually, they say, in northwestern Europe, this is a quote, in the early period we don't have very much written history. If you're in the Mediterranean, you've got the Greeks, the Phoenicians and the Romans and the Etruscans writing stuff all the time. Once you get to the north of France and Britain, you don't have much at all. We've got place names, personal names,
Mhm.
and you can start to try and reconstruct some of the narrative out of that. Now, what they don't say is basically the foundation of certainly British linguistic academic endeavour ever since the Victorians, and that has been, if only we were like the Mediterranean. Oh, can't we make English like a Latin language? We can't split the infinitive. Oh, that kind of thing. And
And you can and you should. split
no,
the infinitive.
exactly. So in that sense, even here, even from a Welsh university, even from Aberystwyth itself, they are still bemoaning the fact that we're not quite Mediterranean. And so
I had this talk with Dr. Moody Dr. Moody Al Rashid, when we talked about, because we talked about what is prehistory.
Yeah.
And I even mentioned you, and I mentioned this program, and
Yeah.
saying that we always joke about what prehistory is,
Hmm.
because and everybody thinks that, oh, it's pre-Roman, and yet we had the Akkadian people who were speaking Akkadian. They were writing things down thousands upon thousands of years earlier.
Mhm.
We literally have records of school days from
Mhm.
children from that time. So why is that considered to be? Why is that prehistory? We have their history.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't. Yeah, I know. We talked
It's
about all
it's because
the
of the Victorians. Oh,
Victorians ruin everything.
They
Speaking
do.
of Dr. Moody Al Rashid, I wanted to include this because I think it's very funny.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't get to touch on it when we interviewed her, but the world's oldest Yo Mama joke
Oh.
is officially 3,500 years old.
Oh, okay, go on.
Around 1,500 BCE, a student in ancient Babylon inscribed 6 riddles on a tablet, and 3,500 years later, the proto-jokes lose a lot in the translation, but one thing is for sure, the Babylonians are saying something about your mother. The tablet in question was first discovered back in 1976 by archaeologist J.J. Van Dyke during excavations in present-day Iraq. That's roughly around where ancient Mesopotamia was.
Mhm.
And sadly, the tablet itself has since disappeared, probably because they wanted to covet that Yo Mama joke by yourself. But Van Dyke left behind a copy of what the tablet had to say, as well as the very delightfully pissy assertion that the tablet featured a very careless writing. So it was obviously the work of a student. The tablet features half a dozen riddles, which researchers Nathan Wasserman and Michael Streck recently analyzed for the journal in Iraq, though they call the tablet the example of wisdom literature. It's very, very obviously not.
Mhm.
And so the oldest Yo Mama joke, here it is.
Okay.
It says, "Of your mother is by the one who has had intercourse with her."
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah. So that's basically that's what your mum said last night. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah.
See, that's exactly that's what your mom said to me in bed last night, but in Babylonian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 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 Nice. Nice. Thank you. Okay, well, I know that Michelle has to rush off now, guys, so we shall bring our episode to an end. Thank you so much for watching, everyone at home. Thank you for listening. Please do comment below if you have a Your Mama joke that you want to share.
If you want to share the Your Mama joke, you got to like and subscribe for that one,
Absolutely.
and then write it in the comments, and it better be good and historical,
Yeah, definitely.
and absolutely not Victorian in any way,
No,
shape,
no.
or form.
This month, though, we have later in the month, we're going to be publishing a quiz that we're going to be doing as a foursome of people in that quiz. And we may be able to fit in one more scoop episode before the year is out. We shall see. Until next time, though, do take care and don't believe what you hear about Ogham. Bye-bye.
Unless it's what Ogham is whispering to your mother in the middle of the night.
Yeah! Booyah!